someone on Twitter had responded to a tweet that we sent out, and the tweet was a video we did, which was, what scripts does Hollywood want? Most screenwriters are writing the wrong ones. And so we had a gentleman ask, well, this is a pivotal issue. Do I write what I know and what moves me, or do I write what producers are looking for? So I know this is a sort of an ever-going question.
It might also not be as black and white, because what you know and what moves you might not have to be so literal. Just because you were, a painter, doesn't mean that you have to write a script about painting, but it could be any creative obsession, right? It could be any subtext in that, or anything that you, I think, emotionally know is different from the specifics of the literal translation of that. So if you can make those two things overlap. For example, I'm working on a TV show right now that has a lot to do with ambition. And obviously the protagonist in that show pushes it to the maximum, where I in real life have never pushed it, but I know what it feels like to have an ambition where you get to the point where you say, I would do anything, I would kill, I would die. I have to do this, right? So then I can take that feeling and infuse it into my character, but that doesn't mean that character necessarily literally wants to achieve the same thing that I wanted to achieve back then. So I think if there is any way I think it's definitely wrong to reject this notion, because I hear that again and again at film schools when I meet the graduating class or something. There is this vibe of stick to your guns, don't sell out. Where I'm always like, good luck with that one, but if there's any way for you to not stick to your guns and sell out and still tell the story that you want to tell well, that might be the greatest version of it all, because you will not change Hollywood. You will not suddenly, your stuff just won't get made. And if you want to do the indie thing, great, and there might be change and you might be part of change, but that's a very slow process. So if you, instead of rejecting what producers want and what the mainstream is, and instead of labeling that as purely negative, but just going, can I give them what they think is going to be commercial and popular? Because I want my movie to be seen by as many people as possible too. If I don't have to compromise and sacrifice the essence and the DNA of the story that I'm passionate about, then I would try to achieve that. So maybe that's an answer to that. I don't think it's either or. You just have to ignore the screaming of both sides that are making it sound as if it's one or the other, and just come from your story side and see if you can combine both into one and make both worlds work for you and for your story, rather than working against either of those.
It reminds me of a quote I saw on it was a bumper sticker I can still remember. It was like many years ago, and it is, in order to change the system, you have to become part of the system. And I'm sure I'll look it up and it'll be like, oh, it's so-and-so said that. But that sounds like it's similar for making movies in some sense.
I'm sure there are a lot of different ways to go. I just know that the single focus on stick to your guns and don't compromise is not the wisest answer. And there are definitely examples probably where people did that and they changed the world and they changed film and all that. So I don't want to poo-poo on that either, but it's not as easy as film schools will have it sound as if it's like the go-to thing. Of course I'm an artist, and of course I won't compromise, and of course I'll stick to my guns. If you can work with Hollywood, if you are in Hollywood and you can work with Hollywood, you might go faster than if you have to work against Hollywood.
Makes sense.